G'day viewers and welcome back to the channel. Welcome to episode 6 of this 1983 Suzuki GSX 750 ES reconstruction, courtesy of my cousin Matthew. Making some really good progress. In the last episode we dealt with a couple of fairly major problems, namely getting the shaft that the foot brake pedal mounts to, getting that back in, which required us to remove the swing arm, so that was a real pain. And then also getting the airbox in, which a number of people said couldn't be done without the engine removed, which we managed to do without doing that. So if you want to check that out, go back and look at episode 5. In this episode, we'll move on to finally onto the carburetors and some of the brakes as well, master cylinders and things like that. So thanks for watching, and let's get on with it. Right, we've got some goodies in the mail today, which is always good. First off, I have a top-up electrical kit, because I started running out of some of these connectors, and so that's got spade connectors and bullet connectors, all sorts of things in there. So that's always good to have for repairing wiring, looms, etc. We've got a cover for the clutch lever and a dust cover for the clutch cable. We've got piston seals for the brake calipers, so we need 2 at the front and 2 at the rear. We've got the master cylinder kits, so we've got the front one and the rear one. We have the dust seals for the pistons in the calipers, that's the rear ones and the back ones. Front one, sorry. And then the O-rings for the little manifolds that have been sitting in the solution to soften them up. So now I've got these, and they've been sitting in the solution for over a week now, so they're probably as soft as they're going to get, so we can stick them back on. So that's a good bunch of bits to get on with. There you go. That looks better, doesn't it? Keep the dust out and looks a bit better for a couple of bucks. So thank goodness for companies like Mick Hone that still sell parts like this. Next. Right, so there's the 4 little manifolds back on with new O-rings, so they certainly shouldn't be sucking air in anywhere. Bit softer because they've been sitting in the solution for a week, and with a little bit of Vaseline around those openings, the carburetors hopefully will fit on quite nicely. Right, so at this stage I need to make a decision between what do I proceed with. Do I continue on with brakes and calipers and all that stuff, or do I move on to carburetors? Because let's face it, if the bike doesn't go, then there's no need to have brakes. So I've decided to get this basket down that has all the carburetors in there and have a look and see exactly what we've got. So first up, what have we got? That is a throttle cable. I think in an earlier video I said that I had the pull, but I didn't have the push. But this bike doesn't have a push cable, so there's only the single cable. So that looks in good nick, and that will tidy up nicely. So that's good. This is the clutch cable, which looks all right. So again, that will tidy up nicely. And we have the first of our carburetors, which look quite nice. obviously I'm going to take them apart and have a bit of a look, but they certainly don't look too bad. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I would say that that's number 1. That's probably number 4, and then 2 and 3 would be yeah, like this. So there's our 1, 2, 3, and 4 with the cable pull in the middle, with the idle screw mixture. That is the shaft that operates all the chokes. Hopefully somewhere I've got the little brackets that go onto there. They might be in that other thing. Oh, here's something I didn't realise I had. It's actually the cover to the fuse box. So I was actually looking online to see if I could buy one of those. So that's a good score. There's part of the throttle assembly that feeds the cable down to that carby number 3. There's the 2 brackets that go across the top here and underneath at the back. So that goes on like that, I think, something like that, and then this one goes across. No, maybe the other way around. Yeah, okay. So it looks like that goes like that, and that must go like that. Anyway, I'm sure we can sort that out. Plenty of bikes here to compare to. And then this bag of stuff, which is okay, a whole bunch of screws, little joiners for the fuel supply, O-rings, which would probably go on these. So we've probably got a few choices of what to use here. Some circlips for some reason, not sure why. So there's a whole bunch of stuff in here, but there's all the little brackets for the choke operation. So that's good. So I think the first thing I will do is at least pull the bowls off these carburetors and have a look at what the bowl looks like, and then also just sit them up on their heads and just do a rough look at the float levels and see if they're sort of reasonably close to spec. I might take the tops off and check out the diaphragms, but you can probably feel them just by pushing the slider up and down, whether they've got any holes in them or whatever, but I might have a look at them anyway. So anyway, I think we've got pretty much everything we need. So let's move on with that. Right, so get the float bowls off. They don't look too bad, reasonably clean. Somebody has obviously been in here, because you look at those pilot screws down there and they look like they've been butchered a little bit. The only other weird thing is this needle and seat from this carburetor. That little pin at the top is supposed to be sort of spring loaded, but it seems to be jammed. The other 3 are okay, so might need to soak that or something to see what's going on with that. So I think, considering how hard it is to get these carburetors in and out of the bike, I'm going to basically go through everything and give it a good clean, maybe check some of the jet sizes and things, and before I go putting them on the bike, because that's a bit of a pain to get them in and out. So anyway, reasonable progress so far. Right, so somebody's been doing some weird things to this carburetors. First of all, the idle pilot jet on 2 of them was out about 1.5 turns, which is normal, and on the other 2 they were screwed in hard, which is a bit weird. Now the other weird thing which I noticed when I pull this apart is you'll notice there's a difference between these. This one has its little Welsh plug in there, and the other 3 have them missing. No idea why you would ever remove those, but I did remember seeing something in one of these bags, which is this thing, which actually is one of these Welsh plugs out of these carbies. No sign of the other 2. Now, as I say, I got no idea why you would take them out, and no idea where I'm going to get replacements. So I've got that one, so there's another 2. So I don't know, maybe I might have to make them. I have a friend down in Victoria who has a lathe, so he might be able to lathe a couple up for me. But yeah, interesting. Always fun playing with a bike that somebody has played with before. Anyway, onwards and upwards, I guess. So, done a bit of Googling around these little, effectively Welsh plugs that are missing. I don't think I'll be able to buy that part without buying a whole new carburetor. So there's this one which was in a bag for some reason. I'll check that part number, but that's for something else. So this just happens to be the bag that it was in. Now, if you look at these, it's about 5mm deep and 10mm radius, and then there's a bit of a chamfer at the end there, so it sort of jams in, gets pressed into that hole. Again, I've got no idea why anybody would remove them. And as you can see on this one, which actually has it, so it's in that hole, and then there's a little gasket that goes over the top. So I was having a bit of a look around in my metal pile here, and I came across this. Got no idea where it came from, but it was just in my pile of stuff. And it's aluminium rod, and if we look at this, it's exactly the right external diameter to fit into that hole. So I don't have a lathe, but I'm thinking that using my drill press and files and blades and things, I think I can actually make a couple of these little plugs, and then also make some little gaskets out of some gasket material that I have to seal those off. So I think that sort of crisis has been averted. So I think the next step is I will get the ultrasonic cleaner out and start soaking all of these bits in the ultrasonic cleaners and clean everything before I start putting things back together. So let's get on with that. Right, so I've managed to make a couple of these little plugs out of that aluminium rod that I found, which just happened to be the right outside diameter. There's a little bit of a chamfer at the top that drops down to 9.5mm from 10, and about 6mm high. So I just put the rod in my drill press, and these use some files and hacksaw blades to sort of cut them to shape, and a little bit of a file, and they're looking good. So once I put them in and put a bit of a seal over the top, they should be fine, I think. So that's good. Right, so I've got some pieces of the carby number 1 in the ultrasonic cleaner, which should give them a good clean. Now, I saw somebody on YouTube suggesting how to use this these type of cleaners the best. And normally you would just fill them with like water with a bit of detergent or something, but what he suggested was that you actually put the components into a container of petrol, maybe just a little tub or something, and then sit that inside the water. So you're still getting the ultrasonics through the petrol. You obviously don't want to fill your whole ultrasonic cleaner up with petrol. So that's basically what I've done here. So as you can see, the parts are sitting in a little tub of petrol surrounded by the water, so we get the ultrasonics, but also get them sitting in petrol, which cleans better. So I'll give them 20 minutes apiece and see how they come out. Right, so here we have carby number 1 partially reassembled. I'll put my manufactured plug and push that into there, and that will have a little gasket go around it before the float valve goes on. Also waiting for the pilot jet rubber plugs. I've got them soaking to soften them up a bit, so I'll put one in there. But what I'm doing is a manual float level check. Now theoretically the distance between where the gasket sits and the top of the float just there when it's sitting upside down should be 22.4 for these carburetors. So let's not drop it off the desk, that would be bad. If I measure this to about there, we can see that that's just under 20 mil, so that needs to be adjusted. So we'll bend that little tab up the back there to raise the floats a little bit, otherwise the float level will actually be too high once the carb's back together. So I've now bent that little tab there with a small screwdriver between the tab and the rest of the float. And if we now check that, so it's just touching the top of that float. We've now got around about 22 millimeters. So it's supposed to be 22.4 plus or minus 1, so that's probably pretty good for now. So I've come to a bit of a stop on the carburetors because I realised I need some bits. Went to put the float level valve in for number 3 and noticed that it was actually quite loose. So the rubber O-ring that goes around there had gone hard. The previous 2 were okay, but so I've ordered those, and I thought, while I'm ordering things, I might as well order a few other bits. So these, the rubber plugs that go in here over the pilot jet, I did have some of those. I've got some of those, and they're in the alcohol solution, but I figure for a couple of bucks I might as well order new ones. And also these rubbers that seal off the choke assembly. One of those is sort of half missing and the others are quite hard, so I've ordered those bits from Mikone Suzuki. So while we wait for those bits to come in, I thought I would move on to the master cylinders, the front and back master cylinders, and the brake light switches associated with those, since I think I've got all the parts. So let's move on with those. Right, so we might call it quits for the this video now. We're up around the 20-minute mark. Wouldn't want you guys to get bored. So yeah, once again, good progress. Finally got to those carburetors, and started having a look at what somebody previously had done to them. Just goes to show, if you don't know what you're doing, you should leave carburetors alone, because it's easy to damage things and damage the jets, or start screwing those air pilot needle jets in too hard, they can snap off. So anyway, I think they're recoverable. Still waiting for the parts to arrive, those little rubber bits, to finish off the carburetors and put them back together. The ultrasonic cleaner worked really well with putting the parts in the petrol and then sitting that in the water. So yeah, thanks again for watching. Give me the thumbs up down below, or subscribe if you like. And next video we should have the parts for the carbies and work on the brakes at the same time. So yeah, thanks for watching, and see you in episode 7.